All right, peace and love, everyone. Welcome to the Healing Cypher on this Monday Moon Day, and I'm your host, Queen Tamara. And tonight we're exploring a new healing modality called heart touch therapy. The heart is the center of our being, and many of us know very little about our heart other than that it pumps blood. So the heart has a physical component and a spiritual component called the heart chakra. And the heart is also another brain and it connects to all our organs and glands in the body. So tonight we're going to explore this wonderful healing modality with our guest, the king. Everybody's the king, brother. Breathmaster Aaron. Peace and love. Welcome, welcome.
Peace and love. Thank you for having me, and thank you to all of those who are joining. And I appreciate this opportunity to share and to gift others with some of my gifts. So thank you.
Thank you. The pleasure's ours. And we've had you on the show before when we were in the studio. And so, you do a lot of different things, which is why they call you the breath master. So tonight we want to talk more about this healing technique of the heart touch therapy. But before we begin, can you share a little bit with the listening audience, with some people who have not, who may have missed the other show and may not be familiar with you? You want to just share a little bit about yourself?
Okay. First off, I'm very aged. I'm not old. I have quite a few life experiences and what have you. I've
Mhm.
had different iterations where I've been a business owner, entrepreneur, product manufacturer, herbalist,
Mhm.
author, lecturer, speaker, barber, uh, floor porter, i.e., janitor, all
Oh,
kinds
wow.
of stuff,
Okay.
cashier. It depends on how far you want to go back. But
Uh-huh.
basically, I'm just a guy who has come to some conclusions and who has decided that life should be very simple. And
Mhm.
from that perspective, I asked, the creator, universe, all of that stuff, how can I deal with a lot of issues and a lot of issues in general without having to go through a lot of changes?
Mhm.
So with that, my life actually went through a lot of changes, but they all steered me toward uh, principles that have gotten me to the point of what I call mastery. And ultimately, mastery is about maintaining this vehicle in
Mhm.
this time. So I wrote the book, The Obesity Myth: You're Not Overweight, You're Overweight, back in 2009, where
Oh,
one of the key things in there was where I helped my father get off of most of his blood pressure and diabetes medication uh,
cool. Okay.
in a short period of time. And
Mhm.
life kept moving. Became an herbalist, wrote a book, stumbled up into this guy who was doing this thing thought it was a back massage. Turns out it was a whole lot more, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Mhm.
But right now, my primary mission, and there are a lot, but my primary mission is to usher heart touch onto this planet, along with the breath work that is combined with it
Mhm.
as healing modality to help people move forward. Because basically, what it does is it's like a reset button. So it takes you back to the pre-trauma state of being, and that allows you to really just immerse yourself
Mhm.
into a space of before you became traumatized, when there was no healing necessary because everything there was no dis-ease, everything was at ease. So it takes you back to that place, and
Mhm.
that's my mission, and it's something that is very necessary for this time. So that's why I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay. Wow, I didn't know all of those wonderful things. Okay, so let's get right in. So, what is the heart touch therapy? I know it's an acronym, so if you could share with us what that is.
Heart in this particular iteration is an acronym which stands for Holistic Energetics, Acuspiraling, Reiki, and Tapping. When the gentleman that I'm going to mention, Master Shep, God bless you,
Hmm.
brother,
Yeah.
who was the originator of this, and I'm a co-developer because when we got together, we started doing some other stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
expanding, contracting, and all this stuff, and I put a little bit of twist on it. But anyway, um, heart, holistic energetics, acuspiraling, Reiki, and tapping, because it is holistic from perspective.
Yes.
It combines several different energy modalities.
Hmm.
So energetics, acuspiraling because we actually place pressure on acupressure points and we
Okay.
move in a spiraling fashion. So at first we thought like acusage, and I like no, we're spiraling. So that gives you. I like when I name things, I like to give as clear an interpretation of what exactly is happening when I do that, and so that's where I came up with acuspiraling. And then there's some Reiki because we're kind of waving our hands around the body, feeling the aura, making
Hmm.
sure that there are those holes in it and what have you. And then there's tapping also. And the Reiki is done at the end, so the tapping comes before the Reiki. But for the sake of the name, when I was looking at how to put it together,
Okay.
heart came through first and foremost. And then it's a form of touch therapy. So heart touch therapy.
Heart touch therapy. Okay, that's amazing. Okay. And you said it incorporates tapping as well as some Reiki.
Yes.
Hmm.
So there's the there's some different massage type techniques like drumming, there's chopping, and what I call thrumming, where each finger strikes like so.
Hmm.
So you get this kind of a sound, and it causes a reverberation all the way down to a cellular level. So we're working on the from the crown down to the sacral, as far as the center line of the body or the governing vessel,
Hmm.
and then different points on the side of the spine. It also engages what's known as the Hua-To Jia-Ji points for you, Asian aficionados who
Okay.
have some familiarity with the Asian, or should I say, the Chinese medical system.
Yes.
Um, Hua-To was ancient physician back in 200 BC or CE, whatever it was, and
Hmm.
he is the most renowned Chinese physician. And
Okay.
what he discovered was that when you work on um, the 17 vertebrae, or the 17 points on either side of, I mean, the 34 points on either side of the 17 vertebrae from in the thoracic and the lumbar region, you actually affect moving energy in all of the organs, and so you can balance everything. And
Mm.
so when he started doing this, everybody that he worked on, was cured, healed, or became normal of whatever condition that they had before. So when we're doing heart touch, we work a lot on those areas. We're doing the drumming, the chopping, and the thrumming, as well as some acupressure points on some of those spots alongside the spine. So there's a lot that's in it, and it's very simple from the standpoint that any of these things that we're doing
Hmm.
has impact, but then when you combine them, it has exponential impact.
Okay.
So that's what makes it so profound.
Hmm. Okay. And you mentioned that you learned from Master Chef. So is he the person who developed this method of healing?
Yeah, and he and I, we got to put together a little conversation so that people can get an awareness of how he constructed it, because he went through a number of situations in his life, and had to do some healing, and
Yeah.
he wound up going through uh, different settings, and getting encountering different types of healing modalities. So he started to weave things together based upon those experiences. Some of them from quite a bit from the Chinese, from not just Chinese, but also Korean inference. He'll have to talk about those things specifically.
Okay.
Uh, is Don Yoga? I think he said he got some of this from.
Oh, Doctor, I've heard of him. Yes.
Yeah,
Um.
Don. Yeah. So that he when I met him, he was doing this awesome back massage, and then the universe was pushing me towards some type of touch therapy. So
Mhm.
I rang him up and we shared knowledge. And then when he laid hands on me, I was like, this is something that the world needs
Yeah.
now.
Absolutely. Can anyone become certified to practice it?
Well, at this point, I'm the only one certifying anyone.
Hmm.
And the way it came down was okay, this was downloaded by a black man, and he kind of passed the baton on to another black man.
Okay.
And so when I look at where we sit in the crux of time right now, and what is going on around us, a lot of the sisters like yourself and many others, God bless you all, are doing phenomenal work specifically in our community, in the world around us, but specifically in our community. And you all are seriously on your healing journey as far as dealing with a lot of your traumas and clearing out a lot of negative energies and the impact of those things on you and your spirit so that you can move forward in humanity and help us as a community, a family, and so on. So we as men, as black men, we have to come into stead with something that we do that is going to anchor our ability to nurture family and community in a way that nothing else has. And there are certain spaces in time as far as humanity, the planet is concerned, where energies begin to shift, and then there are certain things that come onto the planet to fit those times. This is one of those things. Heart touch therapy fits this time in that it's going to allow black men to really come into their power,
Yes.
literally using their hands, the power of their hands, and the ability to move energy with a little bit of tutelage, of course. And so I'm primarily and right now solely teaching black men. I will teach other men of color in
Mm-hmm.
that order. Primarily, this is a male oriented practice because there's a lot of pressing, and you took Dr. Africa's class. He told us about the
Yes.
difference between the male and the female, and how any type of uh, pressing or what's the term he used? Um, anyway, any type of penetrating. That's it. Any type of penetrating energy used. That's masculine.
Okay.
So it's quite a bit of pressing and what have you on the body. So it's masculine from that perspective. So it's designed for men to do, not by me, not by Master Chef, but by the time, the cosmic vibration to set this up for it to come into play in this manner. That's how I discern it. And since I'm the one who created the certification, then the way I see it, I'm given not only responsibility, but also the discernment to
Mm-hmm.
decide how this should be put into play. Otherwise, it would be somebody else. So,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, great. Okay. Let's look at and explore how the heart affects the rest of the body with this modality. Besides the pumping of blood, I know we mentioned
Mhm.
that a little bit when you mentioned your statement just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I like the fact that you talked about the heart and the energy around the heart and its connection to everything within the body,
Hmm.
through the blood flow and what have you, um, and the fact that the heart chakra is an energy center. So, and the fact that it is a brain in and of itself. Now, when you
Yes.
talk about a brain, you're talking about from the standpoint of being able to give direction to a body part and what have you, to be in command or control
Yes.
of certain aspects. You know, all of our organs pretty much have their own quote unquote brain or mind because
Yes.
they have their own job and they do those things well.
Hmm.
What I like about moving energy and allowing an organ, especially the heart in this case, to really be energized and to do its work is we don't have to figure out the work of the heart. All we have to do is energize the heart and it does its work. Attached to the heart is the energy of joy.
Hmm.
And when the heart is healthy, typically we are, if not joyful, we're in a very at ease and complete state.
Yes.
So when the heart is disrupted, when they're talking about a heart attack, which is a misnomer, I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Uh, the heart is encumbered, and so therefore you can't really be joyful. You
Mm.
know, when people go through grief and what have you, which is the energy of the lungs, but it impacts the heart because sadness compromises joy.
Mm.
So there's a direct connection between all of the organs and emotions, and especially the heart when it comes to being at ease. Now, uh, real quick, I just mentioned the term heart attack. What people
Yes.
need to understand is that the heart does not attack you.
Mhm.
Dr. Africa told us that we are constantly attacking the heart
Yeah.
by the way we put garbage in our bodies that causes, coagulation in the heart. And anytime that there's a physical impairment, there's going to be an emotional and spiritual impairment. And
Exactly.
you, yeah, and then you also talk about the heart-brain connection. You know, if your heart ain't right, just like if your gut ain't right, then you ain't gonna be able to think straight. You're not
Mhm.
gonna be coherent. And as far as the heart and mind and heart-brain connection, when it comes to literally feeling and emotions and being able to love, you have your ability to love even yourself becomes impaired. So, I mean, there's so many little nuanced aspects of how the heart works energetically, emotionally, spiritually, psychically, and all of this that, we could talk about it forever.
Hmm. Okay. Yes. Um, you mentioned, which I was going to get into next, about the heart attack. I know people say heart attack, but it is oxymoron because the heart doesn't attack. It's like our thoughts, the lifestyle, the heavy amounts of stress or things attack the
Hmm.
heart.
Hmm.
How does the trauma and the stress affect us on a spiritual and physical level? Because I call stress a silent killer. A lot of people are feeling live stressful lives, and
Hmm.
they become accustomed to it and used to it, and they start adapting to it. They don't realize that the
Hmm.
high level of stress they are under is detrimental to their health until it's oftentimes too late. So with this heart touch therapy, by it incorporating tapping, which I think is used to help release the
Hmm.
trauma and the stress that's trapped in the body, could you speak on that a little bit?
Yes. So energy being stuck anywhere is
Hmm.
an issue. So when you talk about specifically a heart attack, most of the time they're talking about all of the things that have become trapped in the vessels and in the heart in the way of debris, uh, cholesterol, plaque, and all of these kind of stuff. And so you need to change your eating habits for that, number one. But beyond the changing of the diet, as they call it, I like to say live it, but really people are eating a diet because a lot of folks are dying from what they're eating.
Eating, right.
So change that. And then energetically, we need to be able to be at ease. You mentioned the stress. Now, heart touch with all of these different modalities, because okay, there's the backdrop of the sound of the breath. Now, the breathing technique that I do when I'm doing heart touch is the Breathmaster technique, and it literally takes you back to the pre-trauma state of your experience,
Hmm.
reminds you of your experience of being in the womb. And for 90 something percent of the people on the planet, they didn't have birth trauma or pre-birth trauma while they were in the womb. It
Hmm.
was the most serene and divine space that they have existed in. And this was before being born onto the planet and experiencing all of the trauma and the drama that comes from, I mean, literally from the very moment your head gets pushed through this small gateway, you know,
Hmm.
all of that stress. And then the stress of life heaped on, with experiences and people and encumbrances. All of these things get trapped into the body. Like, you have a memory.
Hmm.
That memory stores energy. So if you
Yeah.
have a memory of hitting your thumb with a hammer, that pain is also going to be embedded in there.
Mm.
Some people, when they think about it, it's like, just the thought of it.
Yes, yes.
So
I'm glad you
that has
said
not
that.
been released,
Hmm.
you know. And it's, when we talk about therapy, a lot of times in this Western society, we talk about talking, talking, talking. You got to talk it out. You got to express it, verbally and all this kind of stuff. You got to go through and you got to work through and all this stuff. That helps, but that's a very slow process.
Yeah.
A lot is not very successful. In a lot of indigenous cultures, they do similar to what it is that I'm talking about and taking you back to before the
Hmm.
trauma happened.
Hmm.
And it's like in some cultures, I heard this, they have this term of he has to go back and get his spirit.
Yes.
He has to go back to get his spirit. So
Yes.
you go back to the time where your spirit was not encumbered, and you bring that energy with you,
Hmm.
and that energy because the other energy to dissipate and to supersede that energy, literally supersede, because you're talking about in the superconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the subconscious, the superconscious is literally the spirit realm. So when you're able to go back into that space, bring that dynamic energy forward,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have to literally deal with the trauma anymore. Not to saying that one heart touch treatment, everything will just change.
Right.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
And that depends upon what is ready to be released from the person's spirit. And
And
that has a lot to do with the work that they've been doing all along up until the moment that they receive heart touch. And then, of course, we definitely give them practices to do after to support the connection to that pre-trauma state.
mm. So this is really mind, body, spirit healing.
Yes,
It's it's
yes,
it's
yes.
all connected because I know
Awesome.
that many of us have tried therapy for some people for years, and they're still cycling through the trauma or having the
Mhm.
same issues, and it's because we all aspects of us have to heal. You can't compartmentalize it and just feel
Exactly.
one part of you, just the physical, the spirit. It's all connected.
Well said. Well
Yeah,
said.
this is amazing. All right, so can you discuss with us the connection between the breath and our thoughts and our bodies?
Yeah, basically, just like I just said, it takes you when you. Well, let me do it like this. When you're not getting enough oxygen in your body,
Mm-hmm.
your stress level is going to stay up.
Yes.
The least amount of oxygen you get in your body, the higher your stress level. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I haven't heard this in science or whatever you want to call it, the stuff them people do. Uh, but the less air you get in your body, the less oxygen you have on a cellular level, the more stress, the more encumbered you're going to be.
Yes.
From the simple standpoint that oxygen keeps you alive.
Absolutely.
More oxygen, more life, plain and simple. If you ever ride the bus or sitting on a subway train or in a crowded space and whatever, and you're sitting beside somebody who, and this is not to speak ill of anyone, just to speak matter of factly, someone who is morbidly obese, you know,
Okay.
most of the times if you sit there and you listen to that person breathe, and a lot of times you don't have a choice, they'll
Yes.
be,
It's very shallow. Yeah.
or,
Yes.
and they're basically breathing up here, which is the fight or flight region of the lungs. Now, if you have a stressful moment, you got to get out of a space and what have you to save your life or to punch somebody or something and run, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you don't have time to take deep breaths. So
Right.
those short, shallow breaths are very vital because they stimulate stress hormones so that you can move quickly and you become stronger and you punch harder because of the adrenaline, those stress hormones. So that's great in that moment. However, those are typically fleeting moments that only last seconds,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes minutes, but mostly seconds. And they don't happen to most of us most of the time. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to be at that stress level with that shallow breathing, with that short breath for the extended period of time of our lives, which most people nowadays are breathing shallow all of their life, most
Yeah.
of their life.
Yes. This
And
is.
this is also what allows for waste to accumulate in our bodies because when you breathe fully and deeply, now I mentioned the emotions, each organ have an emotional energy attachment, uh,
Mm-hmm.
which is another way of saying spiritual and psychic also. So when you breathe deeply, when you let that diaphragm go down and press the organs down between it and the pelvic floor, that deep diaphragmic or belly breathing or baby's breath that causes the organs to go press down and the belly to extend outward, you basically massage the organs. So you get the downward press, and then when you exhale and you continue the exhalation with a long exhalation, you're
Yes.
actually going to cause the abdominal muscles to engage, and then so internally the organs are going to get this press downward. Then when you exhale, when you exhale, it's going to cause the lungs to the diaphragm to elongate the organs, pulling them upward and creating a vacuum. And then the abdominal muscle is going to press it front to back. So
Okay.
internally, what's going on with the organs is this: each of your organs below the diaphragm
Mhm.
is getting a massage.
Yes.
So anytime you get a massage, you're going to de-stress.
Okay.
So when you think about all of the organs having emotional component, you know, frustration, anger, sadness, grief, uh, worry, all of those being in the organs. And when you massage the organs through this breathing uh, technique, or through just increasing the volume of your breath,
Hmm.
regardless of whatever technique, you know, then you're going to actually, I mean, literally massage your emotions. You're giving yourself an emotional massage. So this is important for us going throughout the day, because quite often we're having so many different stressors throughout our day that's taking up here and up there and back, and people all around you,
Hmm.
So it's best to have a repetitive practice of deep breathing to massage your organs and massage your emotions and get the stress out of your body. That's the simplest way I can explain as far as the emotional connection between the heart and the organs and the breath and all of that. It's all the breath is everything. Hence, Breathmaster.
Breathmate, yes, that's amazing. I like what you said. Oh, you said it's like a massage for your emotions because we need that, especially
Mhm.
in moments of crisis.
Yes.
People don't know how to self-soothe or how to calm. Like you got, whenever something happens, people. I know when I was growing, I used to hear people say, "Calm down, calm
Hmm.
yourself down," but nobody ever teaches you how to calm down. You don't just go from 100 down,
Hmm.
to 10 or zero without something, some kind of technique. It has to be some way to
Yep.
de-escalate your emotions and all the stress hormones and everything that's flowing through your body in moments of crisis or fight or flight.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
crucial. It's very crucial.
we got somebody in the chat. Dia says, hey Dia, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yes. Tell us a little bit. We still have a little bit of time, but before we end, but tell us a little bit about your book because I didn't know you were an author too. So I'm excited. I want to
Oh,
hear about your book too.
well,
And please tell me you got a copy.
I got a lot of copies.
All right, let's see.
Let me hold on for one moment.
Sure.
I should
Yeah,
have
I
had
didn't
it.
mean to catch you off guard, but when you mentioned it, I said I gotta ask him
Yeah,
about
sorry about it. I should have had it ready. It's one
it.
up here on
Okay.
my desk, but it's a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, um, this is the book, The Obesity Myth. You're not overweight.
You're
You're overweight.
overweight. Yes.
Now, I wrote this book not too long, about 2 years after, 2.5 years after taking Dr. Africa's class. And so I didn't recall him making the statement, you're not overweight, you're overweight.
Mm-hmm.
But this was something that was, I guess, somewhat embedded in me from
Mm-hmm.
the way he taught and what I understood from
Yeah.
what we learned, that
Mm-hmm.
it's not the weight that people have, it's the waste accumulation. Because,
Yes.
the more toxins you have in your body, the more it's going to impair your organs and the greater potential you're going to have one of those heart breaks. They should call it a heart breaking rather than a heart attack, because
Mm-hmm.
your heart is basically just breaking down from all of the stuff that you've been doing
Yes.
for all of that time. That's is
Mm-hmm.
creating the issues and what have you.
Absolutely. And the waist clogs your arteries too, and the veins, which impairs how the blood flows through your body as well.
Mhm. And a couple of things about the book.
Mm-hmm.
You see this picture. So the yeah, get this thing.
Okay, I see it now. It's better.
So this picture, you got this slender body, you know, which is what most of us are, what all of us have the potential to be.
Okay.
But then, as you accumulate waste, you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and so does the weight and the pressure on the body. It just pressurizes you to the point where it's not a very healthy thing to be. So the goal is to, instead of expanding, is to be able to contract. If you happen to be in one of these big bodies and what have you, which not, again, not to speak ill of anyone, but a
Mhm.
lot of people look like they got on fat suits. You know,
Yes.
when you look at Eddie Murphy in the movies where he was, Professor Clump and all this stuff,
Yes.
that looked real.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
looked very real.
Hmm.
And so you see a lot of people and what have you. And then you see the difference of him and his normal size versus him with the Professor Clump suit on. A lot of people have the potential to actually lose the fat suit and become, you know, healthy, slim, and
Health
fit as they
yourself.
should.
Right.
And a lot of people have done it and are doing it. And
Hmm.
so the book helps you do that. It has three different segments, which are actually three books in and of themselves. The first one is on oxygen, called Breath Mastery. The second book is on nutrition. I call it biodynamic nutrition. And the third is on exercise. I call it internal fitness series.
Hmm.
So oxygen, nutrition, exercise, which I thought when I wrote the book, I was like, yeah, I got all the answers in here. Nobody need to know anything else. And then, like I said, I got moved toward a touch therapy, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, this is a major piece that I was missing. So
Hmm.
it might be something else coming down the pike some other time, but right now, oxygen, nutrition, exercise, and touch, or
Touch therapy.
tone instead of the, I used to call it the one methodology. Now, I guess you could say it's the tone, you know,
Okay.
touch, oxygen, nutrition, and exercise.
That's
So, yeah.
cool. That's wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. And can you share with the listening audience how people can connect with you, or maybe they like to purchase the book?
Yes, you can go to my website, which is breathmaster, A as in Aaron.com,
Okay.
and you can purchase it there. You can purchase it online. A lot of people like with Amazon and what have you, which is a lot easier.
Okay.
Um, but I don't get as
So
much
you do
money.
have it on Amazon too. Okay. That's
Yeah,
an
so Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all of the online sites and what have you. It's
okay.
been for years. And yeah, and as far as connecting with me, the easiest way to find out all my information is to go to my link tree, which is
Hmm.
www.linktree, linktRee.com
Okay.
backslash breathmaster.
Breathmaster. Okay.
Yeah, and my
Okay.
phone number 240
Mhm.
848 5448.
Okay, good, good. And I'll share your website, and I think I already put the Instagram handle in the description box, but if not, I'll add that so that it's
Okay.
another way that they can contact you for further reference.
And real quick,
Yeah.
if you know of any young black man or any healthy black man
Hmm.
who's fit enough to move his body in a simple way without being, you know, without hurting himself, you know, tell him to consider becoming a heart touch therapist. This is
Absolutely.
the other side of not only is it the greatest nurturing tool, it's also part of what's evolving in the way of a different type of an economy. There's an economy that's coming, that's on the rise, and coming, that's based on health. You know,
Yes.
we got this materialism economy forever and what have you, but now it's getting back to what culture is rooted in, and culture is rooted in health and wellness and how we exist in our immediate environment.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
with that, there's an economic component because anything that we use ourselves as beneficial, it
Hmm.
can become a product to share with others, whether it's a service or an actual product, like this book, or anything else, herbal product and so on. So these are things that are allowing us to be able to sustain ourselves not only physically and emotionally, but
Hmm.
also economically. So if you know of anybody, or if there's any brother that listens to this broadcast
Yes.
and is wondering what it is that he can do to change the lives of his family
Yeah.
in the most healthy and profound way, then definitely get at me, and we'll talk about you becoming certified so that we can get this work in.
Absolutely, because we need with this, especially this era that we're in now. We really need more healers. It's not
Hmm.
enough, and then especially with this technique, and as you said, for black men, this is something that many of us are struggling with severe, trauma, generational trauma,
Hmm.
systemic trauma, and so the healing is needed,
Hmm.
so needed.
Bob Marley in this song, redemption song, said, "None but ourselves can free us."
Ourselves,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Free yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free
And
our
free our
mind.
minds. That's right.
Which
Yes.
means, which says to me that you got to be in your right mind in order to free yourself.
Yeah.
And if you are so traumatized and so burdened by everything around you, you're not going to be in your right mind, so you never can be able to free yourself. This is an opportunity to free yourself, free your mind, free your spirit, free your body and your psyche, and help others do the same.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Breathmaster Aaron, for joining us again and for sharing this very important information about this connection and the between the mind and spirit and our emotions, and also sharing with us about the heart touch therapy is so crucial and so critical right now, especially as we face, and we're really working on closing the disparities between us and the our counterparts who have probably more access to certain
Hmm.
alternative modalities than some of us do. So it's very important. It's very it's a blessing to have someone such as yourself that's offering this and teaching this.
Yeah. And part of, as far as servicing the community,
Hmm.
uh, once a person is trained, the latter part of training is an internship where you're actually charged with doing work in the community. So we'll
Okay.
be showing up at sites, like halfway houses and, other places where, like returning citizens type scenarios where people who have immediate
Mm.
trauma in their life and need some relief. This will be a place for us to go and practice, for those, to further their skill development and for the recipients to get some of that relief that they're sorely needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, my brother. Thank you.
no
And
question.
thank you everyone out there who's listening and watching. Please reach out to Brother Aaron. Check out his book, check out his website, check out the Heart Touch Therapy. And so with that, we want to thank you, each and every one of you. Remember your light in the darkness, family. Until we meet again next Monday, 7 p.m. In the Healing Cypher. So love, peace, prosperity, good health, and blessings. Peace and love, everyone.